Commissioner Brill, thank you so much for meeting me for coffee. I haven't seen you in a long time. You've been busy. You've been traveling.
I've been really busy, so thank you. It's great to be here. Coffee's great. Thank you. It's fun.
Where have your travels taken you?
So I have been around the country, of course, meeting with lots of different stakeholders over lots of different issues. I was just in Seattle for a Starts with Security event that we're doing, dealing with data security, going out to developers in the community. But I've also spent a lot of time in Europe dealing with data transfer issues, because there's some very important issues under discussion right now between Europe and the United States over how we are going to transfer data between our two continents.
And there are a lot of advertisers that operate internationally and cross-border that are very concerned about these issues, and especially that requirements differ from country to country, and that's just it's untenable. Do you think there's going to be some relief in this area?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I do. I'm very optimistic, although cautiously so, as they say. Just last week, the Department of Commerce and the European Commission announced an agreement that they had reached. The agreement is to replace an old transfer mechanism known as safe harbor, which was invalidated by the European Court of Justice. The invalidation arose as a result of the Commission not having taken into consideration various issues dealing with national security and law enforcement access to data. It had nothing to do with how companies were behaving under the old transfer mechanism. It wasn't about companies. It wasn't about whether they were abiding by the principles. In any event, there had actually been discussions underway for a long time, for 2 years, to try to develop a new transfer mechanism. This court decision came out. It added greater impetus and incentive to the negotiating parties, and the announcement was reached last week. The new transfer mechanism is called Privacy Shield, and I have seen it. We were involved in the negotiations because, of course, the Federal Trade Commission plays a very important role in terms of enforcing any voluntary commitments that companies might make with respect to how they're going to treat data, whether it's Americans' data or whether it's Europeans' data. And so Privacy Shield would be a voluntary commitment that companies could make to say that they will abide by certain principles. And if they do abide by those principles, and the Commission deems those principles to be adequate and protective of Europeans' rights, then those companies can receive and transfer Europeans' data. It's a big step to have reached this point. The process still needs to go through more approval levels. It actually still needs to be written up. Various stakeholders need to read it and understand it and comment on it. And it needs several more levels of political approval. But my hope is that we've now crossed a very important bridge, which is at least coming to an agreement on what principles need to be put in place, how enforcement's going to work, how we're going to work with the Europeans on enforcement, and how we're going to monitor the agreement. And once we get that truly in place, once it reaches, all the political approvals and whatnot and is launched, then we can start talking with our European colleagues about some of the very big data issues that are out there. Internet of Things, big data, the new General Data Protection Regulation, which many companies are now going to need to comply with or start to think about how they're going to comply with. So there are lots of issues to talk about. This was an important bridge to put in place so that we can get to a place to talk about those other issues.
Now, it has been a while since we've caught up, and I know that the Commission held a cross-device tracking workshop in November.
Right.
So what's the thinking on that? What are the major takeaways? Where are we headed, and where are the challenges in this area that you're seeing?
So cross-device tracking it's here. I mean, it's I wish I could say it's just starting, it's just taking off, but no, it's here. And what we are really missing right now are tools for consumers to, number one, understand that they're being tracked not just across websites, but across their devices. And also, not just
the shoes that kept following you now moving across devices?
Yeah. So now it's not just going to be when you look at some shoes on your smartphone and then it pops up when you're on another site on your smartphone. Now you're going to start seeing ads for those shoes on your laptop, on your your iPad or your tablet, whatever. Right.
You need some new shoes, clearly.
Really?
I don't, maybe.
These are from Florence. These are cool shoes.
Those shoes want you, Julie. Those shoes want to be with you.
But what we really need to do is, if I'm going to be tracked across my multiple devices, and actually let's not use me, let's talk about you. Let's make this not about me, but about you. If you are going to see those ads across your multiple devices, you need to be given tools to understand, yeah, you're being tracked across your devices, and to be given choices about whether you want this to happen or not. That's what I'm calling for. And right now there are tools, as we talked about, there are ad blocking tools, but they tend to be single device tools, right? The tools that are out there do not move from the smartphone to the tablet to the laptop to the television, right? I mean, we're talking about multiple devices. So I think that this is going to be the new burgeoning issue. As I said, it's already here, but developing tools for consumers to use so that they can have transparency and control over it is where we really need to go.